isn't like shocking, like if living standards aren't like abysmal, you can have propaganda to like convince them that they're like
living it up.
They're like, oh my god, this is an amazing life.
How are you gonna segue that into this album? Pretty political.
Yeah, I said very topical.
Quarantined.
Yeah, especially
like,
quarantine is doubly topical because it's about police brutality and a virus.
Yeah.
And like rising up. I was like, oh my god. Welcome back.
This week we're doing At the Drive-In's Relationship of... What's the actual full title of the album? Because I always
Relationship of Command, I think.
Yeah, I think that's it.
You know how long I didn't know which one was this, which one was the artist and which one was the thing for like, I only figured that out like this week.
This is an album where it's like, I love this album, but I know it by the cover. I do not know this album by name. It's by cover, because it's like, that's just a great cover and you don't forget that. But the name is Relationship of Command. Not really related to it. It's not particularly good as in terms of titles. Yeah. It's like,
and At the Drive-In is also I don't know if
it's named after a Poison lyric. Poison are a glam rock band.
Oh yeah, but I don't know. It's a bit like, it doesn't sound like an artist's name. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah,
you know how like the Beatles, you're like, yes.
Well, no, it sounds like a very different kind of band. At the Drive-In, it sounds like an emo band.
Yeah, it does.
Like you know, like Jimmy Eat World, like that, like Blink-182.
Yeah,
you're like, At the Drive-In, here's the new pop punk emo band. No, I should always ask you this before when we get into it. Did you like the album?
Yeah, I liked a lot. All the songs, like in a vacuum, they're all really good. But as an entire album, it kind of gets a bit samey. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it's a bit long.
It's like they all flow into each other very well. But there's, I guess, because like how like we listen to music nowadays, it's a lot more like playlist. It's not like, you won't follow one sound. You'll kind of chop and change a lot. Yeah.
Well, imagine you were like a kid in like our age in 2000, and you like got your like a car or something, and you like, this is like the CD you had in your car. It's very different because it's like, you have to play the CD. I'm not going to skip anything.
Whereas now, like, you can make a playlist and you're like,
yeah,
you know, you'll get like The Weeknd next to like, I don't know, like Kanye or something.
Then you'll go to like Death Grips, and then you'll go to something completely different.
And so I guess you need a bit like more. I'm more used to like variety and stuff like that. So kind of the noise kind of drones itself out sometimes.
It gets quieter at the end.
Yeah, no, I've said it. It does a good. The songs individually do a great job of juxtaposing the heavy, aggressive style with a kind of more laid back, softer style.
Yeah,
which is used very well in a couple of songs. Where there's one where it's talking about kind of drug use, and there's kind of like is the heavy stuff the kind of the come down, or is it the high where it's all chaotic but you really enjoy it, and then the lighter stuff, is that when you're sober, or is that when you're high because you're calmed down? And I think they do that in the songs individually very well, but as an entire album, I feel like I would have liked more shift and I guess diversity in the sound.
Well, do you think it's still relevant?
Yeah,
it's relevant to like two bands in terms of relevant. In terms of bands that are like good.
Yeah,
like a lot of people copied it and just who cares?
Yeah,
but like it's aged incredibly well. Like for a 2000 rock album. Have you heard other rock albums from 2000 sound terrible?
They don't really, especially kind of the more kind of, I don't want to say like alternative is because it kind of puts the wrong connotation there.
Pop,
but they were,
like, pop.
yeah, they were out of the normal. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like you kind of look. There was all those like pop punk, which were like we're not really punk, and it was just like
it was like at the time it's like Blink 182 was huge, Linkin Park was huge.
Was Papa Roach huge?
Papa Roach was huge. Their first album's decent. We'll do it one day. It's got some good. There's a song on Papa Roach's first album. It's the last song.
Suffocation?
No, it's
Suffocation
called,
is a banger.
It's called Binge, and it's legit like a whole like. It's like a full-on new metal song about like the dreads of alcoholism. And it's like really sad. It's like, oh my god.
Ooh.
It's like they were genuinely decent for that album, but yeah, I get they were compared to this. It's a very different thing.
Yeah, and then like I don't know,
Rage broke up, you know, like Nirvana obviously gone, like all the kind of like, but like all
there's
the
like Red Hot Chili Peppers
were bad.
Yeah,
they did Californication this year in 2000. Like the alternative and alternative rock was kind of gone. It was just kind of like here's new metal and pop punk and post grunge.
And pick which one you want. Pick your poison.
Yeah. It's all sexist and macho as well. Like you're not gonna get like
in
pop
punk or in both.
Pop,
yeah,
pop punk's not macho, but it's sexist, and new metal's both.
Alpha.
It is. Limp Bizkit is not a feminist band.
Yeah,
I'll say another in terms of like bands that were coming out at the time. It was like them, Deftones were like the other one that were interesting still. Radiohead in England. And it wasn't really much else. Nine Inch Nails kind of fell apart at that point. They were dead in the water.
Yeah, they didn't come back.
Foo Fighters had become a bit bland. There was nothing. They were like, they were kind of like I showed you that NME review. They were like the hope of like they're gonna save rock.
Bring it back.
And then obviously it didn't happen.
Yeah,
because
fell off.
Well, they were like. It's like, imagine if before Smells Like Teen Spirit came out as a single, Nirvana was like, you know what? We're done. And that just never, and grunge never happens the same way. Like, obviously Pearl Jam will still be big, but like, it never happens the same way.
Yeah, Nirvana was really
they were the
leading horse in the race.
They were the catalyst, at the time, were the catalyst for their movement of post-hardcore. And then, so they were the catalyst for their genre of post-hardcore. And then, when they were gone, there was no Pearl Jam or like, Alice in Chains to like replace. There was no replacements.
I also feel like going back to relevancy, like this kind of style of sound where it's very aggressive. There's a lot of like odd sounds, like
it's very
screechy. Sometimes
it's very noisy.
Yeah, it sounds a lot like
there's a lot
like noise
happening.
Music. You know, it does give you like not strongly, but it does kind of have a bit of a Death Grips vibe.
Yeah, and they were getting played on MTV and stuff. You know, that's pretty...
They weren't.
They were. Like they were getting like One Arm Scissor was a huge single.
Yeah.
On like in like rock radio, and by the time it was at its biggest, the band was already broken up.
Wild.
And apparently, I read an article that was talking about like many people had the experience of like sitting at home watching MTV. It's like Linkin Park, you know, Korn is on. And then it's like, who are these guys with the afros? And what is going on? Like, what am I watching right now? Is what the One Arm Scissor video is just them. It's like the video is literally just them performing live, and then just like lots of cuts of like the crowd and back to them, and then on tour. And
it looks like a good time.
But it just looks like what is happening? This is the weirdest sounding thing ever. And this guy keeps throwing the mic up and destroying stuff. And why do they have afros? And why do the rest of them look normal? Afros? Why 3 of them look like normal people and 2 of them look like drugged out like 70s like rock gods? Like what is happening?
It's a weird dynamic. It would give it a lot of difference and separation that when those bands we referenced before, they were all kind of a bit samey, I guess.
Yeah, and the reason they were all so similar is because of the guy who produced this album, Ross Robinson, produced Korn's first 3 albums. Produced Limp Bizkit's first big album. Produced, I think Spineshank. They were pretty bad.
So do you think that the industry was it knew a sound that it wanted to hear, and it kind of tried to mass produce that and industrialize it?
And then the
kind
guy
of industrialize
new metal
music and stuff.
Yeah, well, and then the guy who was making that music, like, took a step back.
He had a moral. He was like,
judgment. "What have I done to the world?" Like, because obviously he liked Korn, but then you see like. The bands copying Korn were way worse than Korn, and then Korn by their
Started to
fourth
fall
album
off.
were already like not a good band anymore. So he was looking at this, what he'd done to the music world.
How can I?
And he's like, "Oh, I can fix this." Well, he tried. So he produced this album. He produced Slipknot, who was still kind of new metal-y, but very different. You know, they're a metal band. They aren't a new metal.
I mean,
band.
music and culture really started to shift to a better sound later on in this decade.
Yeah, because he was like, "Can you guys just listen to At the Drive-In and the Blood Brothers and all these indie punk bands? Because I don't want to." And he did a Cure album as well. He was trying to bring the Cure back into like being like a relevant dark band, because they were still because by then they were like the pop band who did like Friday I'm in Love, and he was trying to like bring that like goth back, and it only worked once he stopped doing it. Like once he stopped trying to make post-hardcore the new thing. All the like the White Stripes and the Strokes and all the kind of indie bands came up and kind of killed new metal. That's like, it's weird. Like
he killed his own creation.
Post-hardcore could have been what indie rock was, but it was almost like it was too noisy and it was too like chaotic.
Yeah, it wasn't the right time for it.
Yeah,
I guess.
I mean, would you, in terms of genre, what would you say this is? Because it's post-hardcore is the blanket.
I think it's indie rock on
steroids.
It's considered indie rock according to Apple Music.
Yeah, but it's not.
And it's not. It's kind of like, maybe I'd describe it as like alt rock.
Yeah, but it's very punky.
Oh no, alt metal even.
Yeah, that's what Deftones is technically called.
It's because it's not really metal, but it's too kind of hard and maybe violent is the right
That's
term
why
for rock.
Post-hardcore, you take hardcore, which is like violent punk, and you add all the weird. The post is like, here's all this weird extra stuff.
Yeah. Like
the weird...
looking back on it, how would we improve hardcore? Yeah.
Yeah, like here's a keyboard solo, and here's a math rock riff, and here's all this weird extra stuff that isn't just, because hardcore is normally just, here's 10 songs, they're all 2 minutes, fight each other, and that's kind of what it is. And then other bands showed up in like the late 80s and 90s and were like, no, we can do something different and make it like an interesting genre. And then At the Drive-In were the first of those bands to get signed and get big and like
have success,
have a chance at success. Because the first band like that is Fugazi, who were born out of the first big hardcore or the second big hardcore band, Minor Threat. So Minor Threat are the pioneers of hardcore. They disappear. Fugazi appears, so they're the pioneers of post-hardcore. And then by 2000, I think they break up. But they were all independent, so they never got...
Yeah, they never had it.
But by the time they break up...
Especially back in those days, you really needed mainstream labels.
This is apparently Fugazi ended up being like millionaires, because they would charge $5 for all their shows and all their CDs. Everything was $5 or less.
And so they just sold a bunch.
They
But they didn't have to give out anything to the man.
They were their own crew.
Yeah.
So they'd play like 20,000 people in like LA, and then like 400 people in Wisconsin. Like they were playing to like huge crowds in amphitheaters, and then like no one in like the next city over.
Yeah.
Because they're all word of mouth.
Wow.
We were talking about how bad major labels are, but one of the reasons this album is their best album, and the reason it sounds so good, is because they got a big budget production job for the first time. And they could actually like, write full songs instead of just, here's an idea, we don't have enough money to not use this on the album, so let's use this tape and just put it on the album anyway. But now they have someone actually saying, only 11 songs, they have to all be songs, like, don't just put whatever on the album, and they're gonna sound massive, like
voluminous. You mean?
Yeah, they're gonna be like big rock songs. Like before this, their songs were not big rock songs in any sort of way. Like they're much more indie and quieter. But with like the guy who does new metal coming in, he kind of makes it sound like not like new metal, but like he adds a, what's the word, like a
inspiration.
No, like a kind of like, you could play Korn, Linkin Park, and then Arsenal, and it would be a bit weird, but the frat jock guy who likes Korn wouldn't lose his mind He wouldn't be like, what's this shit? Like he wouldn't like.
Man, 2000s and 90s was such a weird era.
But like he could still like, you could almost trick them into thinking that they're like a new metal band or something. You know?
Yeah, you could.
So if you don't listen to what that's really happening, if you don't listen
also,
to
were jocks really the target audience of?
It was like white kids who thought they were like struggling but also then it became like white kids generally.
So I don't see that as jocks. I kind of see that more as like.
But it became jocks as well because there was a popular music at the time.
Yeah,
like
I guess I don't know. I feel like jocks and frat boys are similar, but I don't feel like they're the same.
Jocks become frat boys, I think.
Yeah.
But I had a quote about this topic, and not about jocks and frat boys. But here's a quote.
Erik, are you a jock or a frat boy? Tell me.
It's in a review for this album, like a retrospective.
Mm.
It says, while guitarist Omar Rodriguez Lopez discredited the mixing of this album, it's hard to argue with Wallace's mixing decisions because it totally fucking worked. That At the Drive-In could go shot for shot with the heavy hitters without drastically altering the content was their biggest success. He was a band smuggling in post-hardcore, emo punk, and math rock in between whatever Californication single was popping at the time. But if you liked omnidirectional anger, big choruses, and loud guitars, this album could easily be taken at face value before the subversive aspects came to the forefront.
Do the subversive aspects?
Oh. Yeah.
The subversive aspects, do they mean all the like tear down the machine
and
stuff?
the weird jazz stuff?
Weird jazz stuff.
Well, I mean,
there is a bit of in there, isn't there?
Well, in that little apartment, it's like a spoken word song, and then it becomes a punk song, and it becomes a spoken word song.
Yeah, they do shift. Yeah, when they shift perspectives, it does change in style.
But it's like it is. This album is almost like tricking you if you don't like this kind of music. It's almost like trying to sneak in like.
It's a Trojan horse.
Like the cover, it's a Trojan horse.
They knew it.
Yeah,
they were
I'm sure they knew that, but like.
No, I reckon they just accidentally. They were like, I like that. I reckon they'd read a lot of the Iliad before this, and they were like,
that explains the
Trojan
language.
Horse.
Where the guys. We'll get the lyrics eventually. So, you want to do favorite songs?
Oh, I only took 2 lyrics down.
I only have like 3, so alright. But just talk about how nonsense they are all the time.
Yeah.
So, what were your favorite songs?
Favorite songs? Arc Arsenal. Rolodex Propaganda, which I always thought was Roblox Propaganda, and I was very disappointed to find out it wasn't.
Aww.
And probably Non-Zero Possibility were my favorites.
Really? I have Non-Zero as my worst song.
Really? Invalid Litter Department is my least favorite.
That's one of my favorites. That song slaps.
I don't know, man.
The ending?
Yeah, but like, I don't know. There's a lot of like bits I just don't care about.
My best songs are literally just the first 5 songs because I think it's like the best run.
I mean, yeah, they are good, but I don't know. One Armed Scissor. I just like.
It's the single, though.
Yeah, I just can't be arsed with it.
It's a single.
I'm just there listening to it, and I'm like, I just got no clue what's going on, and I'm just like, it slaps, but like,
it's nonsensical. You're right.
Yeah, it's just like I can't, like, I don't know what to do with it.
So yeah, I had the first 5 songs: Arc Arsenal, Pattern Against User, One Arm Scissor, Sleepwalk Capsules, and Invalid Litter Department as my 5 favorites.
Yeah, I liked Sleepwalk Capsules as well. I was a bit unsure about it as well, though.
What was your worst songs?
My worst song was Invalid Litter Department, Mannequin Republic,
yeah,
and Cosmonaut.
Really, I like Cosmonaut. I love Cosmonaut.
I mean, it's not. None of these songs are that bad.
Yeah, there's no bad songs.
They're just less interesting.
My other worst song was, other than Non-Zero, was Quarantined. Even though I like Quarantined a lot, it's a bit long. Like it hurt. Like it.
Yeah, I know what you mean.
It's just a bit too much. Like, you can shorten that song out.
Yeah, there's about like 3 choruses or like outro things.
Yeah,
and it's like you don't need that much. It's like a 7-minute song.
Yeah. Do you want to talk about Arc Arsenal? Because that's like the most slap.
That slaps so hard.
It does.
We must have ran 1,000 paces. We're only voices broken one. We get blood, we get blood together. Gotta try it, like a rap
goes hard. That's the first thing I wrote. I just sonically, there's
the build up is amazing.
Yeah, there's that rumbling sound where you're like, ooh. Yeah. And then the guitar has kind of like a reverb and it's like it kind of reminds me of Iron Man by Black Sabbath.
I know what you mean.
Yeah, you know what I mean. Where it's kind of like
it sounds
it's been manipulated and altered a bit, so it's like. So it's a bit more. There's like a kind of staticky feel in it.
Yeah.
I don't know. It just reminds me.
I just love the bit where it's like all the build up, and it goes like dun 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 dun, and it goes into the song. It's like that. It's like there's a little like break of just here's the riff, but a bit quiet, a bit louder, and then the song comes.
And then everything comes in. Yeah, they do that a few times, which is really nice.
That's the best version of it. That song's amazing.
Also, you know what it's going and. Also, like Roblox Republic, I thought they were yelling Big Weld. Because you know how it's like, it's fucking Big Weld, that meme?
Yeah.
I thought they were yelling, it's like the chorus thing.
Of what?
Of Arc Arsenal, where they're going like...
Is this just, I'm yelling, I must have read 1,000 faces?
No, that's the thing.
That's
it's
the
like
intro.
It's like when they're shouting, like they shout the same word.
He's yelling beware.
Yeah, beware.
Yeah.
I thought he was yelling Big Weld. I was like, Big Weld.
So he goes, I must have read 1,000 faces.
I must have robbed them of their cause.
That's a really good lyric. I should have written that down.
Yeah.
It's very inciting.
Mm.
It's like, I hate the fact that they were like, no moshing. And then here's Arc Arsenal. It's like, what do you want me to... I could kill someone.
I want you to punch someone in the face next to you, and then just everyone does that like a... in unison.
Why? If you
no
were
pushing each other.
If you were at the fight and someone played Arc Arsenal in the background, you would be like, "I'm gonna win this."
It's a walkout song.
It is really. It should. Someone should walk out to this. I think. I mean, I know the Diaz brothers love Deftones. They should probably walk out. It's not that far away.
Yeah, no, because I went this when I'm running, and like when you're doing sprint efforts, and you're just like, I want to die. Like I'm here, and I'm gonna run myself into the ground, and it's just dun 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 dun, and you're like. You can't see, but I've just animated myself running.
I definitely played before futsal a couple times back in the day.
Yeah, I might have.
Like, and then there's some games where I like get like a yellow card. You like just kick some kid in the leg.
Man, some of those 10-year-olds were real pests. So.
Yeah, they deserved it.
Yeah, like, they won't be able to see this, but this is how the album is. It's just
it was Erik spinning
and punching the air.
Yeah.
That's what it is. Weird. It's just them. Like I hate everything.
Because if you did that at their concert, they'd call you a sheep. Seriously, they hated that.
Yeah, a bit whack. If I'm honest. Do you find it strange that Arc Arsenal was like all about Jeffrey Dahmer?
Allegedly, all about Jeffrey.
I was like, how is this about Jeffrey Dahmer? Like, I get the cannibalism and like the I want slaves and stuff, like that he did that, but like, it doesn't really feel like.
I don't know.
Hey guys,
that song.
I guess I kind of tried to explain it as, he abused his power and wanted slaves and like murdered people and cannibalized people is kind of how, or like he in the position of authority is like
they're trying to compare it to like a government.
Yeah.
And saying like the government is cannibalizing itself and it's wanting to.
I was saying it was kind of There's also. I'm not sure if it's in this song, but there's a lot of kind of like the powerful is using their power to kind of tell or like propagandize and lie to you to keep you all in this box of what they deem acceptable. As
good as this album is, they're a bit pretentious lyrically.
Yes,
they're a bit like you're like I said, like they literally said this to a crowd that you're all sheep. Like they kind of are like enlightened anarchists who think that. The world is like
they're also like
sucked in.
Yeah, they're also kind of like two anarchists where they're kind of like, no, you can't have the same idea as me because that's my idea. It's like,
So, but in terms of like, one of my favorite moments of the whole album is like how Arc Arsenal ends and there's about 1 second of silence and then it goes dun 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 and it goes straight into Pan Against User. Like that's an amazing like song to song transition.
Also, you know how there's that like tasted skin stuff, and like you said before, it's like how they cannibalize
people,
like the society. I also I had that written down, but I also had it's maybe that they set up a system which forces the other people to cannibalize each other.
Yeah.
So it's kind of I don't want to get too Marxist here, but like how there's that kind of idea that conservatives, they don't want class consciousness, and like fascists do this especially, where they're like, it's not class that divides us, it's race, and so they kind of get that infighting in the proletariat, I guess.
I mean, honest with you, no idea what Panic Against Youth is about.
They had like drug users, and like, are they out? I was kind of looking at it as like, are they kind of outside reality? You know what I mean? Like we
Sheep.
Yeah, we follow the well, not anymore because of the kind of lockdown, and like we're doing stuff from home now, but like we wake up Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, and then we have Saturday, Sunday, and then we keep on doing that. Whereas a drug user, they're just like floating about in space.
It makes sense. The title is kind of like a really good way of saying the patent against user, like
it's like their way of escaping.
It's like conventional lifestyle versus drug lifestyle.
And then like how kind of the user, like the drug users, pay for their high in like time and stuff, because there's I think I had a lyric, I was supposed to write a lyric down from here, but I forgot to, and but there's this kind of like how they look older, even though they kind of get like infinite time when they're on heroin and stuff, because it slows down. It lessens their lifespan.
Yeah.
Because although he's kind of saying it's kind of a bit outside reality, it's also kind of an escape, or I don't have to like face the problems of the world.
Yeah.
Because I was very interested by this song.
It's probably my third favorite song on the album overall. Like it's
I was also
pretty amazing.
There's also this line in here which is kind of like it's. I wish I had it with me. I think this is the one I was trying to remember, but it's kind of like
I'll Google it.
It's something about how children are kind of like sold into this, and it's kind of like I was kind of looking at that as people can be damned to like a life of substance abuse because of childhood trauma.
I think
so it's kind of that we built a society which poor people and leads to a kind of unhealthy life. Did you pick up on this in Patent Against User? How there's a tropical kind of sound in it.
It's like the weird like.
Yeah, it's the softer bit, and it's like, I don't know. It just sounded really tropical to me. It's kind of refreshing. It's between the. This is what I was talking about with there's the soft sound, there's a soft tropical sound, and then there's the aggressive sound, and you don't know which. You can see it as one could be representing the high, or you could also see that same style representing the sobriety.
The bridge is really interesting, where it's like, it gets really quiet, and it slowly kind of builds back up, and then you get back to like, and it explodes back into the chorus, which is in the first song, but like now it's completely like. They put the beginning of Arc Arsenal into the middle of the second song in a way, in terms of like building up. It's weird. Like the first three songs, it's like maybe even four songs. It's like there is no. They give you like the illusion of there being like a nice break in terms of like quiet, but then it's just like nope, just back into like another punch in the face. Like, it rarely lets up in the first four songs, but it tries to trick you into thinking it's going to.
Do you want to talk about One Arm Scissor?
Here they are at the drive-in.
Yes, this is a campaign to the entrance in the cargo.
There's two meanings to the title. Three, actually. One is a One Arm Scissor is a drink. It's a vodka and Red Bull, apparently. I had no idea.
I had no idea.
That's just, it's probably an American thing.
Yeah. We just call them vodka Red Bulls.
Yes.
Here.
And then one arm scissor is also a knife.
Yeah. A broken scissor is a knife.
Just a knife. And also, I thought of it as like a syringe, maybe. If you think, like, in terms of it being like a knife, in terms of it, you could...
Yeah, a stabbing thing. Yeah, I can see that.
Yeah. In terms of stabbing yourself. But lyrically...
It's so...
There is one great line that's like the most famous line they ever had, which is self-destruct sequence. This station is non-operational.
Yeah,
that's the most famous line they ever.
I also
said.
like the Sputnik thing because it's kind of got a spacey. There's at some points in here I think there's a spacey vibe.
Enfilade, big space sound.
Yeah, I thought the feedback was cool in there, but I think. I thought it was kind of about cutting the one-arm scissor, like cutting the poison out of your life.
There's also apparently the song is about like the band.
Yeah,
it's like the two crazy, not crazy is a strong word. The two more eccentric guys are the one-arm scissor, and the three other guys are kind of like they're just normal guys. It's like these two other guys are they're going off in their own path. They're fracturing the They're cutting the scissor. Stabbing. They're fracturing the relationship. They're ending it. I mean, that's just but looking back, you can't. They wouldn't have written that about that then. That's like looking back at it and being like, they broke up. So this is about tension between the two sides of the band.
I also feel like there's also he says something like they can't hear me or something, or like I can't be heard or something. Yeah. Like that. And it's kind of like he understands there's a problem, but he can't communicate it. Well, they wanted to get help and stuff.
There's a quote where it's like the singer's like, "Yeah, we wanted to make an element sound like Pink Floyd," and the rest of the band did not want to do that at all.
Oh well, unlucky.
They did that eventually, and it was with the other band, and it was not great.
You know, I really liked in this the transition into sleepwalk capsules.
Brick by brick encases you in. This is a taser gun hooked on 10.
Oh, then there's like that weird ending bit of one scissor where it's just weird noises.
And then
Sleepwalk Capsule's just
yeah, it gets that real. I said it was really topical.
Sleepwalk
Capsules, yeah.
Yeah, just the lyric of tasing kindergarten.
Yeah, tasing children because most of the protesters are young kids.
Yeah. It's a dark song. That's one of the darkest songs I'd say.
Yeah. I like the kind of psychedelic sound that the guitars sometimes had.
Yeah.
They do it a couple of times where they're kind of a bit hypnotic, a bit psychedelic.
I just realised in the chorus he says they like to choke.
Yeah, there's a choking sound.
Yeah.
I thought that was really, really interesting to put in.
Atop this podium, built of fixation, they like to choke, all utensils fixed on you. The thing about this album is that it's purposefully abstract.
Yeah.
But it's not particularly it's not he's not using really complicated words. It's once you kind of just read it twice, reread it, and think, oh, it's about that. Other than One Arm Scissor, which is genuinely I have no idea what's going on there.
Yeah, it's kind of. I feel like One Arm Scissor is a bit of an inside joke.
It's also
well, they would all know what it's
also
about,
the single.
But no
so
one
it's
else would.
You know, some bands are the single. They're just whatever. They're not gonna. Who cares about the lyrics? It's the single.
Yeah, it's not gonna really make sense. And
people aren't gonna pay attention to the lyrics anyway.
You can't put you or something like that as a single for To Pimp a Butterfly.
Yeah, but you can.
You can make I even All Right is kind of as much as All Right is very political and
it's still you wouldn't you'd have to look at the lyrics to actually know what's going on. If people don't know.
Whereas you can kind of naively listen to that and be like, yeah, we're gonna be all right.
Do you want to go? We'll go into your least favorite song, unless you want to keep going about Sleepwalk.
I mean, I can kind of. I've written something about the kind of ideas of because I thought in this is kind of the first song where it's kind of the media is kind of lying to you. It's trying to shepherd everyone into what they want.
Song.
Yeah.
Or no, it's the first outwardly protest-ish kind of song.
Yeah, so it's kind of subduing and silencing people that disagreed with. Also there's that thing. I've also got a lyric in here, but this isn't it. But you know how there's pacifiers, pacify, us. That's kind of like I guess kind of like the media. There's always like especially now you look at the people and they're like, yes, Black Lives Matter. Yes, they shouldn't have killed him, but we can't be doing the rioting and the looting. And it's like, that's the pacifier right there. That's who they're talking about. That is that like Tucker Carlson, Sean Hannity, or Ben Shapiro,
even
going
CNN.
Yeah, going, everybody, looting is bad. That's wrong. I'm not putting a monetary value on human life because I'm saying stealing is in large scales not pretty much equal to murder. It's like
there's an amazing.
It's like because what I find is how that relates to this is because they're trying to pacify people or get people to protest silently so that they can't hear, like Colin Kaepernick, because they can. I don't say everyone. The not the media, but politicians. They ignored Kaepernick when he went. I'm gonna take a stand. They shifted that and they kind of silenced him. They talked around him, and something like the Royal Commission we had here into Aboriginal deaths in custody and. The 1987 one, and there's 300 recommendations, and like 4 of them were listened to.
It's like the results came back, and they were like, and there's nothing wrong. It's like, wait,
no. They came back and they're like, these is the things we should change, and the government just went, glad we know, and then just.
But there was another one. It was a Royal Commission into Aboriginal abuse in prisons, and it was like, and nothing was wrong. Because they looked at like the most specific, they were like Aboriginal people who were potentially abused in only violent crimes. It was something like that. It was like they've only looked at like a small subsection, and they've gone, and there was no instances of it happening.
Yeah, Invalid Littered Apartment, my least favorite song.
You have to admit, lyrically, it's pretty.
Yeah,
it's pretty powerful.
Nice, but I don't know.
I have "Dancing on the Corpse's Ashes" as like my favorite lyric.
Yeah, that remind really? So, I'm not going to say that's exactly why, but it did remind me of The Corpse's Bride. The kind of melancholic.
I just love the breakdown at the end. Now it's like it's like it gets quiet and he says dancing on, and then
that's beautiful.
Dancing on the corpse's ashes.
It's got a bit of a ghouly and Halloween vibe.
It's about very sad but dark topic.
Yeah.
It's a real thing. I mean, apparently to this day.
I mean, prostitutes have always been working. This was like a target for.
This was like an epidemic of like. Yeah. It was like hundreds and hundreds of women were just being murdered, and the government was kept covering it up. And dancing on the corpse's ashes, they were like, no, we're good. Like, there's nothing going on here.
And there's also a line in there which is, the police did. It's not the police. It's
they do the custodial.
The coroner did his job. The coroner cleaned it up.
They say custodial customs quite well, but it's like it's not their job. Isn't to be
well. Yeah, because
that's not their job.
Hid all the stuff. They cleaned it up. They made it look pretty.
Yeah, he said the something did the custodial customs quite well, but the point is that their job isn't to be a custodian. It's they should be fixing it instead of just
also. What did you think about the and they made sure there were smokestacks in the picture of all the obituaries?
It's a dark lyric.
What did you think that was?
They made sure there were smokestacks in the pictures of the obituaries. I think it's trying to like, what's the word? Like dramatize, or kind of like paint a picture of the person who's died, or like they were just this like
that. Yeah, they're a factory worker. They're nothing. I also kind of thought that. I had a hotter take. I had a industrialization is evil.
That's what I mean. There's a lot of lines about industrial things.
Yeah, I wrote weak ass drums.
Yeah, but I warmed up to that song. I didn't like it at first, but it's like something about that ending is just so like.
Yeah, I found the guitar also like too much of the song just.
It repeats
musically
itself.
Isn't interesting to me.
Yeah, it's very repetitive.
Like as much as like, ooh, I feel like that you feel like you're going through a mystery with it. You know what I mean? Like
it's not a direct story though. It's kind of
but that you feel like you're kind of going through a mystery, like unsolved murders, like and you're getting piece by piece, learning a little bit more, but there's just so much just kind of empty space with like audio that I don't care that much.
But it's kind of, instead of it being like a story, it's more like a collage. It's like it like the ending is obviously the ending.
That's why I say it's like a mystery thing where it's because it's like it shows you the suspects, it shows you these things, it shows you means, motive, all this stuff, and then you've got to go boom. And kind of you can kind of, I guess, figure out what they want you to see there. Anakin Republic, I kind of like high paced. The call and answer guitar section is really good, where they have like dun 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 dun, and then dun 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 dun, like
they do a lot of that.
Yeah, I really like that. Did it also kind of have like a hot theme? Not like, oh, this shit's hot, but like a hot, like an arid climate theme. You know what I mean? I kind of thought that.
And what's the song after Manic Republic? I'm trying to remember.
Enfilade.
That song is...
Can we talk? I want to get into the ideas of Manic Republic.
I gotta pull the lyrics. I only read the lyrics twice.
I had it about the government's treatments of migrants and stuff. Like the xenophobia and the hypocrisy. Because
for example, I have a lyric.
Trump.
Labor concentrated. It says labor concentrated in this sheepless chapel.
Yeah, I really like that.
Do you get that? It's like,
I understand.
But you get the sheepless bit. It's like the people, the working class are not. They are not mindless sheep. Yeah. This is a chapel, but it's full of intelligent people.
There's also that kind of like, I guess, a cult kind of thing there, where it's like humans like. Because you look at cults, they're all kind of like I don't want to say pseudo religion, because they kind of are like they're like a religion in the worst sense. Generally, like that, where we can be part of this kind of cult of work. We can be like